Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Meduch, Dr. Speed Selling. This is the Raging Verbalist, number 140. For those of you who are new, thank you. Glad you're here. For those of you who are old hat, let me just tell you what the Raging Verbalist is all about. It's a topic that comes to mind. And of course, you never know what's going to come to my mind. We kind of veer a little bit away from the political side, but we talk about a lot of other exciting things. And if you want to go check out all of where to, add in comments, you can go to Facebook and the Position to Win book group, which is of course my one of my books. Also, you can go to positiontowinbook.com, and you can get some free stuff. Also can send me money too, but we have to have somebody who sits in for you. And who would be better? Who would possibly be better? We have searched and found the perfect person, the ever lovely Sandra. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. And for those of you who are Sandra watchers, that is not a fake background. It is a legitimate background. Sandra has started to build out her studio, and I'm sure it will have other things as we progress along. So, it's not quite like Where's Waldo, but we will, some of you may be anticipating what should she have on the wall behind her or something. So
That's right.
all right.
Lovely real books here. I can,
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So selling when you're selling houses and you have gutted this house and you do that, if it has nothing in it, sometimes people get a little weirded out. So literally people would say, well, you could go out and buy 4 feet of books and you can just stick them up in the in a built-in bookcase or something. And usually they were set up because they were the right height and size and color and all of that. And of course, so, but that isn't what Sandra's doing. Sandra even has books that are not just
They're
fake
real
books. They're real books. No
right.
fake books. So. All right. Well, Sandra, so what is our topic today? What are we going to talk about? Because of course, inquiring minds want to know.
All right, so it's iPhone versus Android. We got phone wars going on.
Well, it's almost a religious thing happening, and I'm sure that there's some people out there, and these are strong feelings. These are things that people go, wait a second, don't talk about my whatever. Okay, so we're going to talk about iPhone versus Android. All right, what is the first question?
All right.
Lay it on me.
Since you now have both Android and Apple iOS phones, do you have a preference?
So just so everybody has proof of life and visualization. So this is my iPhone, and then I have that because of businesses, I actually go out and buy Android phones for business purposes because I'm a big believer, and we can get into this maybe in another time. But so like this is an Android phone, and then this is an Android phone, and then well, this is an Android phone. So, who doesn't need at least 4 phones? By the way, quick tip before we dive in any deeper, notice that I have color coded the cases. And the reason for that is that if you don't, I used to put little brother label things on there. I'd put like the phone number on it. And I mean, I know you're going to say it's weird, but when you have 4 phones, sometimes none of them are burner phones, so it isn't like, I'm trying to get hold of Cheech on the corner or something. But, you gotta remember which phone is which, so you can always figure out what that is. And as, as Sandra jokingly said, as we were getting ready for this, you got to learn how to put everybody into airplane mode. So when you do one of these things, they don't ring. I'll never forget walking through Dallas airport, about a month ago or so, and I was sitting there and I was on the phone and I had another phone that was ringing, and a guy looked at me and said, how can your phone be ringing because you're on it? And I pulled out 2 other phones, and he went, how many phones do you have? And I said, well, an accurate number would be hard to ascertain. So I think my preference is because of use and how much I use it. Is I use the iOS phone more than the others, but we're going to get into it deeper. Also, there's a lot of familiarity. One of the things that I think has happened with the iPhone is that since Apple has a certain consistency, that's made it kind of, tilt it that way. But from a bang for your buck, well, we'll get into that in a little bit.
All right. What are some of the pros of iPhone iOS?
So for some of you out there who are the anti-iPhone people, so and you already know who you are, we don't want you to, get distracted and spill hot coffee because we're not going to pay for a lawsuit. We don't want you to, deploy an airbag or anything. The plus is that it's tightly integrated with Apple's garden, if you will, or whatever, people call it the walled garden. And I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a garden, but but as an example, when I put this phone onto do not disturb for today, my iPad, which I use as a timer for doing these sessions, immediately went into do not disturb mode also. So there's a whole little connection between all these. When I get close to, because I live in a mixed environment, you talk about being in kind of a different worlds. And anytime I get my iPhone close to a Mac, since we're all on the same network in my office, it says, by the way, your iPhone is close to, your Mac Mini or your iMac or whatever it is. I mean, they like to join up together. I get a little nervous that maybe there might be a revolt coming from the Cupertino guys, or I guess, or I probably can't be gender specific in these days and age, devices when they attack or something. So that's cool. I mean, it's great because there's a lot of integration, and literally you can do something on one and have it show up on the other. And that's very cool. So that's kind of the pro of the iPhone, is that there's a lot of seamless integration. And I think the other thing is that the kind of operating system, I mean, I'm kind of looking for the right way to say it. The revision of the operating system is easy to understand. There's a number, and then there's a dot, and then it tells you if it's an updated version, so it's 15 point whatever. And that's a plus. So that's my statement about iPhones.
All right. So on the other hand, what are some pros of Android?
The biggest one is can be bang for your buck. So I have old ancient phone numbers. So this phone, which is the Aqua, though some people, I don't know if that really is Aqua or not, but anyway, I have to have to get a is it Pantone or Pantene? Who are the guys who do the color checking?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, our graphics person. I don't know. Looks kind of Aqua to me. We're close enough. Anyway,
Seafoam, green, mint. I mean, there's a spectrum.
so the bang for your buck is quite amazing. And in fact, when I did my jump to T-Mobile, and I walked in and I said, hey, here's a phone line that I don't use much, but I need to keep the number because it's like the number I've had forever, even though it's turned into kind of a junk number because I get lots of spam. So by the way, if any of you want to get a update on your car repair insurance, your warranty extension, I mean, I can hook you up. I can hook you up because I get those kind of calls all the time. So Android, I would say is bang for your buck. Also, there's pretty rapid development and deployment. There's a lot of differences between Android phones, which I discovered. I mean, when you go from the A to the S series of the Samsung, or the Google Pixel 6, which of course now they've got the 6A. I mean, guys, why don't we just jump to 7? Or something. Or maybe they would call it the 6 Epsilon. But anyway, so I think that the pros of Android is that they have some pretty interesting feature set, and you can get a wider variety of things. So that's kind of cool. I like that.
All right. Now, what are some negatives of iPhone iOS?
Well, the negatives is that whatever Apple says. I mean, they tell you what you will or will not do, what you can and cannot do, and therefore there's a whole bunch of situations where maybe there's something that you want to accomplish, and Apple has decided you're not going to get that. If you go to the App Store, you know that all the apps are going to work, but also if you have an older app, which I have older apps, so early on, iPhone, since they invented the App Store. I don't know if they invented it, but anyway, they really got the App Store going. There were lots of really cool apps. So like I got a bunch of these apps from years ago, and every generation of the new iOS will come out, and then you'll go to use this app that you thought was kind of cool. You didn't use it as much, and it'll say, please contact your developer and ask them to upgrade to the latest version of iOS and support it. Now, I don't even know who these people are. I mean, first off, I can't even open the app. So how am I going to contact him? And it's not like every app that, if you got there, you would like hit the, the button and then the bat phone lights up in somebody's cave or something. So that happens, and they just go, nope, you're gone. Bye-bye. And that's kind of sucky. And then I've actually been so intrigued about some of these apps that I would go on go online and start typing away madly into, of course, Google, looking for this, and lots of luck trying to find these people. So that's the abandonment of apps gets to be a sucky thing. I don't like that, and you get stuck. So that's a negative for the iOS, which is Apple just keeps marching relentlessly forward. And if you don't have mainstream apps, so that means a bunch of stuff that I've paid for, I know someday, sometime, they'll get tired of updating and it's going to be gone. So use it while you can.
All right. Now, what are some negatives of Android?
Well, some of the Android negatives are the fact that like there's an app that I use all the time and in fact, Sandra and I use this every week, which is and no, they're not paying me money. If you guys hear about this, you can always send us money. But there's a thing called Tape-a-Call, and we use Tape-a-Call a lot, by the way. If you're in sales, or if you're negotiating, if you're trying to brainstorm, you should probably get Tape-a-Call. And yes, I have the professional version, and we have yet to get it working on Android, but it works seemingly very, very well. I don't use words like flawless with software because there is no flawless software, but it works very well, and it does not appear to work at all on on Android. It doesn't do that at all. Also, the fragmentation makes me worried about Androids, and I've had this problem before, and it's a little bit of a misnomer of how we start off, because I've had Android phones for a number of years, but I had, for those of you who are followers, I had that quirky cell carrier called Republic Wireless, and they were all Androids for a long, long time. Then they opened it up a little bit, but they were all Android phones, but they were an offbeat version of the operating system because there's this massive fragmentation of it. Probably to me one of the biggest negatives, and this is just a maybe me being pissy about it, but I can't ever remember if Gingerbread Man is the newest version versus Marshmallow Tower versus Leaping Lizard version of the operating system. Guys at Google, I know you're thinking you're real clever and you're laughing because you're probably high on something, but just give us numbers, okay? Let us figure out, because even Microsoft, you can figure out 11 is bigger than 10 and 10 is bigger than 7. So even Microsoft figured this out. So guys, get your act together, okay? So do that. Now, if you want to get your act together, if you want to figure out what you should be doing for your business, by the way, I think that Android has some really interesting things, but they have really lousy positioning. So by the way, I mean, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad, but so this Pixel 6 phone, because it's a Google phone, Google has added features to it that are not available to other Android companies. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but they've actually done some pretty interesting things. But it's back to, fragmentation kind of sucks. So, you don't want to make those positioning mistakes. And since you don't want to do that, what you probably want to do is get serious about positioning yourself the right way. And then that means you should be reading this book. This is a great summer read. And if you're watching this in the future, it's a great any season read, which is most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to win. And the whole idea of positioning yourself to win is all about how you need to have the right position. So my suggestion to you is that you go check it out, pick up the book. That you can get it digitally. You can get it Kindle, Nook, Apple iBooks. Also, you can go get it from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, wherever books are sold. You can go ask for it and they will get it for you. Or you can go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com, and also I will sign it there too. So go check that out. And then, of course, we have remote work for a better planet. So if you are working remote, we were talking about this just earlier today about how we have had a sea change since the pandemic. So you might want to go figure out how to do it better. And there are lots of good tips and lots of good ideas there. Now, Sandra, what do we have next? What do we, as we are bowling our way through and working our way through? So,
All right. So what is some of the ugly that exists from both phones?
so both platforms are victims of cleverness. And what I mean by that is that people come up with all kinds, I'm talking about developers. I guess they run out of what to do on the phone. And I got it. I mean, I got it. I use the phone to do something which I know eventually maybe they'll just bar from using it as a phone. I use it to call people. I know that's radical. So if you're out there and you're not in your safe space, you don't have you don't have like a chew toy close by, but I can tell you that they start getting super clever. And the more clever they get, shake it this way and it does that, tap it this way, it does that. I mean, that's great. But since none of this has any documentation per se, then you're watching all of these YouTube videos where some person with a baseball cap turned the other way. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, all of this kind of kooky shit. But tell me what the hell I want to be able to go on to the Google Android site and say, tell me all the mystery, all this stuff. Don't come up with all of these little icons that nobody knows what they really are. Even those people who will bullshit you and tell you, oh yeah, I know what they are, because what it means is that somebody has come up with something clever. So that's what I would say is the ugly between both of them. Lots of clever doesn't equate to user friendly or intuitive UI, which for those of you who don't know what that means, it's called user interface. So I think that's the thing that irritates me the most. I would like to get more out of my iPhone. I'd like to get more out of my Pixel 6 or my 2 Samsung phones. I would like to do that. And that would be a good thing. In fact, one of the things that's most irritating is that I have, as you have seen, I have 3 Android devices. Not each and every one of them, not any 2 of them turn off the same way. So you have to remember the sequence of how to turn off the phone. Ridiculous. Guys, get it together. Come on.
All right, we'll take a step from the from that topic. What about integration with other devices?
Again, iPhone hands down integrates with anything Apple, and it likes to do that. Now, don't even get me started with Apple CarPlay or Android, whatever their version of that is, because I get in rental cars and that does not work, folks. That is not working well at all. In fact, last new car I bought, we should do like a series of things about the Honda Clarity hydrogen car I had. Worst car I've ever owned in my life, by the way. Worst car I've ever owned in my life. And it would not integrate with Apple CarPlay with my phone to that. And when I called the special, because it was a hydrogen car, so you got your own gaseous toll-free number to call in and talk to them. And they said, well, we're hoping that Apple will fix CarPlay so it will work with ours. How many Hondas are sold versus how many millions and billions of iPhones? Ain't going to happen. So nobody's got that figured out, by the way. I mean, almost all this stuff sucks in that regard. Apple is the closest with integration with other devices. However, when you show it to a Windows device, it basically goes, nope, we don't do anything with it. Even though at one point in time, there was a talk about it. Now let's talk about Android devices. Android being Google gives away the operating system and they want you to integrate everything to everything because Google would like to, of course, track everything you do. He's moving his finger up to his chin. Oh, no, he's doing. Well, all I can tell you is that the integration of Android devices to other things, I have a Dell laptop. It says that it has a way to integrate. Never been able to do it. Call the Dell special site, and they start asking you all kinds of questions. So do you have do you have the Rutabaker version of the operating system, or do you have this version or that? So none of that, none of that works. So I've never, and by the way, I've talked to people who are Android fanatics who tell me that all this stuff works. I was sitting in the American Express Centurion Lounge, and I ran into an Android bigot, and I said, "Hey, since you're an Android bigot, since you are a grand master, wizard of this stuff, can you get my Windows machine to talk to my Android phone?" And after 15 minutes, he went, "Hey man, I got a flight to catch," which was BS. He didn't have a flight to catch. He was just defeated by that. So yeah, the integration thing is not really happening. So yeah, it's for Android devices. I've never figured that out. By the way, I've never gotten a rental car to sync with an Android device. I've not gotten it to do that, and I got 3 of them. Okay, I got 3 of them now. So, and they're new ones. So you can't tell me I've got an old version of the operating system. I don't have Methuselah version of the operating system. So.
All right, so what are the similarities and dissimilarities of applications between the two?
Now this is where we really get fun, because sometimes you end up where there's this stuff works pretty well. So if I'm on my Google Android phone, it integrates very nicely with things like Google Docs and Sheets and, is it Slides, whatever their presentation thing is, because we use G Suite all the time. So that works pretty well. That works pretty well on the iPhone, because I think the guy, the whatever they are, the neutered Googleites. Yeah, we'll call them instead of the Israelites, the Googleites. Anyway, they seem to make that work. But the dissimilarities are pretty bad, because I find that there's a lot of not great integration from one to the other. And I understand why, because certain phones just don't have the oomph, the whatever it is. By the way, if you're out there and you're saying, I'm going to go out and buy, $100 Android phone, and it's going to match up to an iPhone, all I can say is, quit taking those kind of hallucinogenics, because it's not going to be there. Hardware is hardware. And in spite of whatever the software may say, you need hardware to get things done. So I would say that certain things like Tape-A-Call, I've never been able to get Tape-A-Call to work on both platforms. I don't know why. And by the way, since they're charging me like $10 a month, Tape-A-Call, Apple doesn't give me their phone number. Google doesn't give me their phone number. There is no way to know if it's going to work. Someday, maybe it'll work. Someday, maybe I'll find somebody who is smart enough to do this. My favorite Android story, by the way, is I was on a train. This is a few years ago, but I was on a train in LA. Yes, they have trains in LA. I know. I speak to you from a science fiction point of view. And I'm sitting there, and across the aisle from me is this guy who gets on at there's a college stop. So he gets on with this woman. Clearly they're in their early 20s. And he, of course, is trying to show her and be impressive, because he's trying to come up with a conversation so he can have a conversation with her. So he's showing her all of the cool things his Android phone can do. And of course, for all of you who don't know my saying that Murphy rides for free, I'm watching this, and I am observing, because I know Murphy is going to come over and kick his ever-loving Android ass. And what did it do? But his phone locked up so bad. And this is a kind of phone that had a back cover, and he had to pop out the back cover, rip out the battery, and then restart the thing, which of course she was not that impressed with his technical prowess, because of course he was going to show her how many wonderful things his Android phone could do. So all I can tell you is that, and don't get me wrong, I've dealt with a lot of crashing in phones, because I use phones a lot. But it is crazy when people have this belief this super belief that this thing is going to be perfection. So lots of times apps don't work in the same way. As such, I have some apps that work on Android that don't exist on the iPhone.
All right, so with all of that, how does one decide which phone to choose?
So if you're really money conscious, right now, there's probably the best deals are on, because Samsung, as we're recording this, is kind of like stuck with like 50 million middle of the road phones. My guess is that you'll be able to pick those up cheapest. I have a business partner that buys Motorola phones, which by the way are owned by the Chinese. So it's not really Motorola anymore. And those are decent performers. And in fact, we have used those. So if you're really tight for money, probably Android is where to go. If money is not an object, because I have both a high-end iPhone and a high-end Google phone, I would tend to lean towards the iOS. If you're in the Mac infrastructure or the Apple infrastructure, then you're definitely going to want to buy an Apple phone. There it's going to work. If you're in the other side, if you have PCs and stuff, just know that you're going to always have that issue. I have to say that since the Androids are always sold as a discount to iOS, probably if you're looking for bang for your buck, you'll do that. I will also say this without equivocation: the Android phones will not last as long, and it's not because the hardware will fail. It's because the software will become obsolete and you'll end up with an older phone. Apple has this crazy thing. My brother had a phone that was, 5 generations old, and he was still hanging on and using it. Eventually, yeah, he did upgrade. But I can tell you that that's really not possible for older Android phones. So it's probably not a firm way to make a decision, but I will tell you that the best way to do it is to say, what's my budget? How long do I want to be an indentured servant? And go from there. I will also tell you that if you buy the latest phone, every time the latest phone comes out, it is the mistake. You are making a mistake, in my opinion, because unless it does something, and I mean really something that you absolutely have to do, I don't know what that would be, then I would hold off, because as they start to get older and move on, the discounts tend to get a lot better than they were before. And with that, I want to thank the aforementioned, the ever lovely Sandra, and all of you for joining us. This has been the Raging Verbalist number 140. Hopefully we've shed a little bit of light on phones. I use phones all the time. I am probably a phone kind of fanatic kind of person. I can tell you that there is nothing that's close to perfection on any of these things. And no, I have not been contacted by anybody about how they could improve their phones. I've got a list if you guys want to hear it. And the reality is that you find something that works for you. Make sure that it makes you money and not just has some gee whiz feature. I had people years ago tell me about how they had this phone that did all these gee whiz things, and nobody could even turn the damn thing on to make it do that. Not that they couldn't turn on the phone, but they couldn't actually get the whatever it was to work. And with that, I want to thank all of you who have joined us, and the Raging Verbalist is done for another week.